Hello, Mr. Krasarok, and anyone else who is watching. This is my final discovery project for prehistoric to Gothic art history. For my project, I elected to create my own Dogu figurine in Blender. Blender is a free modeling software, something that I really like, and I thought this would be the perfect assignment for this. My proposal for this assignment was to create a 3D model of a Dogu in Blender, and then to create my own video going over how I made it, as well as to give some information on Dogu in the process. This relates to our schoolwork because we really had a week or so where we talked about the Indus River civilization, and I did a research project talking about the terracotta figures that those people had, and I compared them to the Dogu that the Jomon people had. This assignment is a continuation of that assignment where I focus solely on the Dogu figurines as I create my own. This ended up being a very fun challenge to create. While I am pretty experienced with box modeling, which is what you can see on screen right here, I'm not very experienced with sculpting. And I wanted to learn sculpting for this assignment so I could stay in line with how the ancient Jomon people actually created these dogu. They didn't edit each point on the model. They just took a piece of clay and modeled the features onto it. They kind of went from the bottom up, just adding in bits and pieces as they went. While I did use some box modeling to get like the underlying shape down, I elected to sculpt all the details by hand, which helps add to the realism of this model. It's not perfectly symmetrical. No Dogu really is. The video on screen here you see is my time lapse of the creation process for this model. The whole thing took me about 7.5 hours or so, maybe about 8. And the writing for the script for this video and the rendering of the footage ends up making up the like last remaining 2+ hours. It actually took me about 4 hours to really iron out the details for the script and to fix some bugs that I was running into. So I'm actually very comfortably within like 13 hours, but that is more than enough, and I'm pretty happy with that. The specific type of dogu I decided to model today is called the Shakoki dogu. Shakoki roughly translates as light blocking device in English, and that would seem to refer to the large goggles that these dogu have on their heads. I elected to make this kind of dogu in particular because these tend to be more detailed and also a bit larger overall. It means I have more space to work with, and it is also a challenge. I was trying to push myself with this assignment to add more detail as much as I could realistically. So it only felt natural to come up with my own design for this assignment because no two dogu are really the same. They're very personalized to the person that made them, and a lot of these dogu are like referring to their own personal maladies, own personal issues that would then like can tell you more about the person that made them. I elected to be a bit more personal with my design for this one to kind of play homage to that. Let's see. See, Doga figures back then were made because they believed that these smaller representation of a deity would bring good health to them. Many Dogu, even the less detailed ones, share a lot of the same similar components. A lot of feminine features, particularly like emphasize like hips, breasts, and larger eyes. Many of these figures seem to like um, lead to us to believe that these represent some sort of like earth deity or some deity referring to like fertility and good health. Another aspect of Dogu is that a lot of them are destroyed. They're broken, not necessarily to time, but like purposefully broken, like in ways that you wouldn't find just like through weathering, like in the dirt. Um, it's believed that the act of destroying a dogu you made would bring good health because dogu were designed to be hollow. They would absorb like spirits and maladies, or they were believed to absorb these spirits that afflict this person, and smashing them would be setting them free, like relieving yourself, cleansing yourself of these maladies that afflicted you. Something else I thought was very interesting is that a number of dogu are sculpted with hands and some are without. And I thought that was interesting because if each dogu is so personalized, it makes me wonder why some dogu were elected to be given hands and some were not. I elected to give mine hands because I personally very much like my hands and find a lot of value in them. As an artist, of course, we use our hands a lot to create different pieces of art. So we end up using our hands a lot in the same like a handyman or like a trade word where you're using your hands for all sorts of things. But also everyone uses their hands in day-to-day life, and I couldn't even imagine myself without my hands. So I felt like it was appropriate to include them here. This project was a lot of fun for me. I really did enjoy this and thought it was a really interesting exercise and just a really fulfilling project for me personally. I had a lot of fun coming up with like the design for it, filling in, painting, and sculpting for the first time. It was a pretty difficult challenge figuring out how the sculpting tools worked and really like getting a hang of it. I feel like I have a lot better grasp on how sculpting works now than I did before. There's a lot of tools that sculpting has, like the clay strips, the pinching. It's a tool. There's a lot of really it's a different workflow than what I'm used to, and it really does feel like I've learned a lot here. Even with like painting, like as you can see on screen, I haven't painted a ton in Blender, but I do have like a basic understanding of how it works. But this was a really interesting experience trying to like paint, fill in the holes, fill in the little crevices and cracks I modeled in. Very different from what I'm used to. I really had a lot of fun with this assignment. This is my third project I've done this year on the Dogu specifically, and I just keep coming back to them because I think they're so interesting. Um, we don't even know specifically like what deity these figures worshipped, but you can tell from just the number of Dogu and the different shapes and sizes that these were very highly regarded back then, and it's a very interesting aspect of ancient history. All figures like this, whether it's Indus River, Jomon, it doesn't like any. It's a fascinating piece of history that I would love to explore more in the future. That's all the notes I have for this. Thank you for watching. I will leave my annotations and my cited works at the end of the video, but I'll just let the timeline play out from here. Thank you for watching.